Okay, let's continue our discussion on chord voicings for gospel music on the jazz side. There is definitely a crossover between gospel and jazz for the advanced piano player. And if you're really looking to sort of get better at understanding gospel music and how jazz plays a part in that, this video is for you. This was prompted by a question from Martin Wall, one of our subscribers, who says, a video by Alban Lopez a few days ago on the Jazz Pianist group reawakened my interest in the voice movement associated with gospel type music. He asked me to go check it out. I did. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Alban, for recording it. I transcribed it as best I could. He's playing it on a keyboard and there's chorus and reverb and sometimes a little hard to hear, but I did the best I could and I've made a transcription out of it, and we are about 2/3 of the way through that transcription. The first couple of videos handled the first couple of thirds. And in this video, I'm gonna just continue on. There's some really cool stuff still to come. And then I'm gonna play the entire recording for you and post a link to the sheet music that you're seeing here that I've transcribed. So where we ended off was here at the beginning of this line. And then we're getting back into the second A section, which is the melody. Now, you can grace note those notes if you want to. In the first A, he did something like this. Which was really nice, and we talked about in the video, but he doesn't do it the second time. So now we've got some real jazz happening. So what this is a 2 minor 7 to 5/7 to 1 major 7, but he's using the tritone substitution. So really this is just going down a half step to the root. So it's basically flat 2. So A7, A flat 7 with a flat 9 and flat 13. So if you did that with D, it sounds a little bit different, but the A minor sounds like this. So again, that's A minor 7 to D7, sharp 11, except you're changing the root to A flat. Sounds really nice. And then the melody. So let's play the whole line now. And moving on to the next line. Nothing too complicated there, just a straight G major 7th chord. We've had this before where you've got the root of G and then a whole tone above that is the A chord with the triad. And I really love this. Thank you, Alban, for putting it in. This is something that I do very often in my jazz playing, where we've got this 2 minor 7 to 5/7 to 1 major 7, just like we did before, except it's going down a half step to the flat 2. So A flat 7 or G sharp 7. It includes the 9th and the sharp 11 as well. So let's actually write that in. So G flat 7, 9 with sharp 11. Love that grace note in the bass. Again, we're sticking with that motif of sixths. The melody, very gospel sound. And then we're on to the next line. Now, the first time around, he played a B7 chord here. So it went like this. So instead of that, he's using the tritone substitution, which is F13. Lovely sound. Had those chords before. If you missed it, check out the first couple of videos from this tutorial series where we're talking about this transcription by Alban Lopez. So this is really interesting. You've got this 2-5 happening here. So it's essentially just a, minors, 2-5, like E minor 7 to A7. And obviously there's some substitutions there. We've had that before, but instead of going to D, it's going to here, which is a common thing to do in jazz when you want to sort of sustain the ending. The melody note is still D, right? So we're going. And we're creating a sustain into the root, right? So from B flat over C. So it's like a cadence. More jazzy. And then he finishes off by going back into classical, and we explored that in the first couple of videos where it's going here. So love that. So all of this is basically triads and taking the fifth of the chord, or the root of the chord, and putting it in the bass, and then putting the fifth and the third on top. So if you've got your triad, just taking the third and moving it up to the melody. Really love this, where he's taking all of that energy and throwing it into those sixths. And then, because of course, the right hand is playing the sixth. And then what happens is you've got this chord just come out of nowhere, which is really a jazzy chord. You've got basically a B flat major 7 with a 13th. So lovely. Great sound. I hope I actually picked that off. If that's not actually what he plays, it's definitely good anyway. And then you're finishing off with these last few chords, which definitely takes you away from those sixths, right? Whatever he played, which is on the previous line, and then it's going. It's beautiful. Honestly, I couldn't figure out what this chord was. It was way too low to kind of hear it properly. I spent a few minutes trying to figure out what it was and I couldn't, but let's just put a question mark on that. I do think it sounds great. B flat over D flat or over C sharp. But let's take a look at what comes before it. So you've got this just straight E minor chord. You can actually, sometimes what I do is put in a D here as well. Great sound. What you have is a 2 minor 7 to 5-7 with the tritone substitution. So instead of D, it's sort of the flat 2, right? So flat 2, 7 with a sharp 9. So let's go here. So E flat, so you've got the third, just 3, 5, 7, and then in the melody, you've got the sharp 9. Great sound. And then instead of ending on D, you're ending a half step below. There's really no rhyme or reason to the B flat. It's just sounds cool. Sometimes you might want to try a little exercise. Just plunk down a root and then play a bunch of triads over top of that. They all work. It's just depending on where they're resolving to. So. All right, so what I'm going to do now is play you the entire transcription that I transcribed from Alban Lopez. Great performance on the Jazz Pianist group in Facebook. If you haven't seen that group, please go and join it. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I even post there from time to time myself. And then when we come back, and it's only 2 minutes in length, I'm going to give you a link to the sheet music so that you can download it and practice it for yourself. I'll see you after the recording. Okay, so there's the recording I made of the transcription that I did for Alban Lopez's performance on the Jazz Pianist group on Facebook. Thank you so much for posting that. And of course, to Martin Wall for suggesting this series. It was fun for me to dive into the relationship between gospel and jazz chord movements. Really a lot of fun for me, and it was fun transcribing. I'm going to put a link to the sheet music that I just performed up here in the corner, so you can grab that and practice it, and definitely take some of those chord voicings and apply them to other tunes. So thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, which I'd really love, just hit the little bell when you subscribe, because you'll be notified of all the upcoming videos that we're making. And we're making them all the time. All right, we'll see you in the next tutorial.